very good morning to you. It is the third day of May, actually the first Wednesday of the month. So I hope that you're doing well. Quite chilly right here in Nairobi, so I hope that you are keeping warm even as we begin a conversation, a very important conversation if you ask me. And this is all about saving for retirement. It's going to be an insightful show, so you're going to stick around until the end of the show. My name is Winnie Lubembe, and I know majority of the times when we talk about savings, and especially when it comes to the retirement, I know a number of us say, you know, I want to retire by like 35, I want to retire by 40, I want to retire by 50. But the big question is, are you prepared for the save? Do you feel that you have saved or you are saving enough? And this is as far as retirement is concerned. So we want to delve deeper into this conversation, why it is important, for all of us to actually save and prepare for retirement. And even after that, how much are you saving? That is the big question, because some people would say, me, I'm saving, but really, how much are you saving, and are you saving enough for the same? But one of the biggest questions that people usually, talk about is, when should we start saving and preparing for retirement? So again, we'll get all the answers in today's conversation, so you want to stick around until the end of the show. But again, if you have any question as far as saving for retirement is concerned, you know the drill by now. At NTV Kenya, both at Facebook and on Twitter is how you can reach us, or better yet, just give us a call. Our lines are open and my guests will be able to answer all your questions as far as saving for retirement is concerned. So without further ado, Mr. Leonard Audi, is it Audi? Audi.
Whichever, Audi is okay.
Audi is okay. Thank you so much for coming by today. Senior Economist, Retirement Benefits Authority. Asante sana for making time for us this morning to have this very important conversation. But before we even start with the whole conversation about savings and when do you start saving, how much are you saving, and why it's important really for people to prepare for retirement. First of all, let's just get to understand RBA, that is the Retirement Benefits Authority. Can we just know a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, thank you very much, Winnie, and it's a good morning to come and discuss the issues about savings for retirement, which is a very important topic, but yet it's mostly ignored until you reach that time when you are nearing retirement. Then that's when now you start running around to know how much you have in terms of benefits and even where they are. Yeah, so I'll start with just briefly talking about RBA. And RBA is the Retirement Benefits Authority. It's a regulatory body established under an Act of Parliament, number 3 of 1997. And we started operation in the year 2000. So actually we are over 23 years in existence. And RBA's vision mostly is to ensure that we have a secure, growing, and also we also ensure that your retirement benefits are safe. So that's our main mandate in terms of safeguarding your benefits. So when you go to the Act, it gives us the mandate that we implement, and basically when you go to Section 5 of the Act, it outlines 5 key areas that RBA is supposed to concentrate on.
All right.
Yeah, so the first one is on, we ensure that we register and also manage retirement benefit schemes. Yeah, so by this, we ensure that we supervise these schemes in terms of, first of all, the first process is to register these schemes.
Okay.
So there's a procedure, a whole process on how a scheme is supposed to be registered and the requirements that need to be fulfilled for a scheme to be fully registered. And then after that, now we ensure that we supervise them. And we actually use what we call a risk-based supervision system, where we have parameters that we look into. And in case that we notice that a scheme is surpassing a certain threshold, then we are supposed to come in with enforcement actions. So that is as far as supervision is concerned. Then the next mandate basically is also to ensure that we protect the interest of members and sponsors. And members in this case are the members of retirement benefit schemes. And sponsors are the people who establish schemes for the benefit of their employees. So basically, they are employers who have established schemes. So as a regulator, we ensure that the interest of both the members and also the sponsors are well protected. And the way we do this is by ensuring that members are well educated about their rights and obligations within a scheme. And also, whenever they have complaints, we also ensure that their complaints are addressed in a fair process that yields justice to the members. And also, in terms of employers, we also ensure that all that is provided within the regulatory framework is followed, and their interests are also protected. Then the third issue is that we also advise the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the National Treasury. I didn't mention that RBA is under the National Treasury, so it's a parastatal under the National Treasury. So in as far as ensuring that we advise the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the National Treasury on issues relating to retirement benefits. Yeah, so this we do through giving policy proposals and also participating in the policy making process. Currently, we are developing the National Retirement Benefits Policy, and RBA is in the task force that is doing this. And very soon, we hope that this policy will be rolled out so that it can give policy options that can be followed when it comes to the retirement benefit sector. Yeah, and then also the other mandate that we do is basically to implement all government policies, because we are a government body, and any policy that the government of the day advances, we are supposed to implement. So that's how we come in terms of the Vision 2030, the medium-term plan for the Vision 2030. Recently, we were doing the Big Four, but now currently we have the plan that is being implemented. But the beauty is that all these policies are always infusioned, are always included in the medium-term plan of the Vision 2030. So you find that it is very easy for all government departments and agencies to implement all these government policies. Yeah, so that's as far as retirement benefits authorities are concerned. And it's good to clarify from this point that retirement benefits authority is the regulator. Yeah, so when you sit back and you save your retirement, then at the end of it, you expect to get the benefits. So at the back end, we are the regulator who ensures that everything runs smoothly in terms of management of the schemes and also investment of your funds.
All right. And of course, just out of curiosity, because there's I was reading this, and you have an overarching goal, right?
Yes.
And that is to achieve 30% pension coverage with an asset base of 2.4 trillion shillings, and this is by 2024. All right. 2024 is just like a few months away from now. How are you doing as far as this goal is concerned?
Yeah, we are on course, though we hope that by 2024 this will be achieved. And it's good that you've mentioned that, so I will first of all tell you the status of the industry first. So in terms of the retirement benefit industry, we have around 1,076 registered retirement benefit schemes that we supervise. And out of these, the accumulated pension funds through these schemes is around 1.58 trillion. That is the current figure. And yes, we intend, in terms of our working goal as contained in our strategic plan, to achieve a 2.4 trillion. And we are hopeful that because there are some policy shifts that have happened in terms of even the implementation of the NSSF Act 2013, and also we have registered the biggest scheme, which is the civil service, it's called the civil service superannuation scheme. So this one is also expected to bring a very big boost in terms of the pension assets. Then in terms of membership, currently we have around 7 million members of retirement benefit schemes, but you find that most of these members are not active. So the ones who are actively contributing are around 3.2 million.
Okay.
And that's where the concern is, because most of them, they register, and then now they don't continue contributing in retirement benefit schemes and savings for their retirement. And later on, we shall be discussing about the issue of inductive members and also the adequacy of pension, because when you are introducing the topic, you said that if you want to retire early, then you must prepare for that retirement.
True.
Yeah,
that's
so
true. Yeah.
we shall be discussing more about the adequacy issue and the whole conversation about what policy options we can adopt moving forward. Yeah.
It's true, because again, majority of the people say, I do not want to be employed by a certain age, but then again, at the back of our minds or our minds, we don't really, factor in the whole aspect about how much am I saving and is it enough, to allow me to retire early, right?
Yeah, true.
And you talked about every scheme has to reach a certain threshold, right?
Yes.
What exactly, is that threshold?
Yeah, so there are requirements, and basically they are under the act that requires a scheme. The basic thing that a scheme must have is what we call the trust deeds and rules.
Okay.
So these are the rules that are going to govern how the scheme is managed and also governed. So that is the first requirement. Then the other requirement is that because these are funds that are going to be invested and they belong to members, we always require that the schemes have what we call the service providers. And the service providers here are three. So number one, we have the administrators. So the administrators are the people who take care of the day-to-day running of the scheme. So they're the ones who do the records and also update members on in terms of even how much they have saved and also how the scheme is doing. Then we have also another category of service providers, and we call them the fund managers. So fund managers are the people who advises the trustees on where to invest. And then we have the custodians. Custodians are basically the banks. So these are the people who keep the scheme assets in terms of the funds. So when you contribute, for example, you are in a nation scheme, your money goes to the custodian. So the custodian gets instruction now from the fund manager on where to invest. So that's how we've separated roles, so that we ensure that these funds in a scheme are well governed. And then we have people who call trustees. And these trustees, we have the fit and proper criteria of how they are supposed to come into office. So we have some who are member elected, and some of them are sponsor or the employer nominated to sit in the board of trustees. So these trustees, we call them the legal owners of the scheme. Yeah, so these are the people who hold your money in trust. Yeah, so actually what they are doing is that you entrust them with the money. So they are the legal owners, and in case of any problem that happens within the scheme, they're the first people that we get hold of and ask the specific questions on the management of the schemes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So before we talk about, because again, there has been some bit of concern, and this is as far as, yes, I am saving my money, but then again, upon retirement, there's, the whole aspect about, claiming the money or, their benefits and all those things. It's not able to reach the people either on time. There's a lot surrounding the same. So as RBA, how do you come in? But very quickly, there was a study that was done, just recently, and there were very, very concerning findings, if I can say, as far as this study is concerned. And one of the things that I saw is that is it 88% of the retirees, had people who are still depending on them for support, while 12% did not. Right? Yes. So that when it comes to 88% is right, a big number of people still have a lot of dependence, on them. So can we just take us through this survey and some of the other findings that, you had that, was very concerning, especially to RBA, and even the fact that how we're doing as a country as far as, savings is concerned, because you mentioned earlier on that, there's some people who just register and then they're not active, contributors to the same.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe just to pick from your first question in terms of claiming on benefits, it's good to explain how the retirement benefits sector works. And I think most of the complaints you are getting is from the civil service, those who are in the civil service, and the teachers. Yeah, so before 2021, before the public service superannuation scheme came into effect, all the civil servants were under the National Treasury Pensions Department. And you know, it is what we call a defined benefit scheme, where the employer gives you a promise, so that you are told that when you work for us for this number of years, then you will be entitled to get a pension. So in actual sense, you don't contribute towards that pension. So what happens is that when you retire in the civil service, then you have to wait for government to collect revenue, because it is financed through the exchequer. Yeah, so that's why you have those delays, because you know, government has different priorities, and they have different projects that they have to implement. So that's why in the past it took some bit of time before somebody got their retirement benefits. But now, thanks to the new changes that are coming into place, where the civil servants, even the teachers, even those who are in the police, are now moving to the public superannuation scheme. So in this scheme, you are supposed to contribute as an employee. So you contribute up to 7.5%, and then now the government contributes, doubles that, 15%. And all this money now goes to the custodian I was talking about, and it is invested. Yeah, so immediately you retire, and you know, now the public superannuation scheme is now governed under the Retirement Benefits Act. And in the Retirement Benefits Act, it's a requirement that when you retire, within 30 days upon application, you are supposed to receive your benefits. Yeah, so that's now the shift that is coming into place. And I know with time, the issue of claiming your benefits will be a thing of the past. And then you talked about the survey that we did. Yes, we always do what we call the pensioner survey. And this one we do after every 2 years. Yeah, so what we do is that we focus on the retirees, those who have retired. And basically we focus for those who have retired within the last 5 years. Yeah, so because this surveys also helps us to shape policy in terms of knowing how the retirees are doing post-retirement. And when we did this study, we found out that most of the retirees, when they go into retirement, they still have dependents. And this is a worrying trend, because when we dug deeper, we found that most of the dependents, some of them are their own children, while others are not their own children. So it may be the children of their children, so they are the grandparents. And you see most of the parents still have attachment even to their grandchildren. So that's why, and coupled with that is that, you know, in Kenya we have a lot of high rates of unemployment, which is also affecting the whole issue. Yeah, so you find that maybe kids or children are going to look for employment, and maybe they have kids back at home. So when they are going to look for employment, then they leave their kids with the parents. So that's why you find that the dependency level in terms of those who have retired is still very high, and they have children. And then the other issue we found that out in the survey is that when somebody retires, the main source of income becomes pension. And let no one cheat you that you will do investment and you will get rental income. There are challenges that come, and everyone is not a good investor.
That's true.
Yeah, so the most reliable source of income remains to be pension. And that's why we always encourage people that when you are still working, it is good that you save enough that will take you through your retirement, because that is the only reliable source of income that you will be having at retirement. And you know, whatever happens is that immediately you retire. Let's say Winnie, now you retire from Nation. The first thing that they will do is that they will tell you to clear. And when you are clearing, you will surrender your staff badge, you will surrender the medical cards. So once you surrender the medical cards, then you remain on your own.
That's true.
So which means you have to finance each and every expenditure in your life. So number one, you must have good cash flow.
That's true.
So that that can take you through the retirement, because you'll be having expenditure on basics. You must buy food. You must pay rent if you are still staying within the cities, and also you must also cater for your medical expenses, because now the employer has taken their medical card. Yeah. So these are expenditures that are a must. So, and you see the way we found it in the survey is that the social structure is shifting. Gone are the days when parents will depend on their children, where you educate your children and expect that now in retirement they will take care of you. These people will disappear in the cities, and they have also bills to cater for. So they will leave you on your own. So it means that if you didn't save enough to take you through the retirement phase, then you find that life becomes unbearable, and therefore there are so many issues now that come in terms of even the diseases, and then you find that now your life in retirement begins to be shortened, and then you exit
because of all those things that is happening. All right, can we take a break? But first, when we come back, we'll pick up from there, because it's important that people really have this picture as far as what exactly happens and how does retirement look like, so that by the time we're saying, I want to retire by 40, we have that better picture. But also still, dissect more on the survey and the findings and how that then informs, our decisions, like his day-to-day, decisions as far as preparing for retirement is concerned. All right. So if you have a question or a comment as far as really preparing for retirement, saving for retirement, if you are a pensioner and you're watching us this morning, also share your story with us. How was it so far? When did you start saving, and did you save enough when you were actively, either in employment or self-employment? But also the whole question about self-employment as well, would also want to talk about the same. But all that is coming up after the break. Stay with us. This is Your World. All right, welcome back. Glad you're still with us. And of course, the show is Your World. And today we are literally preparing for retirement. All right. And of course, like we said, this is a very important conversation to have. And before we went on a break, of course, we were talking about the realities of retirement. All right. And what we all need to know about, so that by the time we're getting excited about, I want to retire by a certain age, you really know what exactly happens during retirement. And of course, that there was a survey that was done, which again we were dissecting. And of course, one of the things that you found out is that 88% of the respondents that again were interviewed still had dependents, right on the same. But also something that we're talking about during the break is the fact that during retirement, first of all, everybody knows that you have retired, right? So therefore, you might have many visitors coming to your door, telling you about, mtoto wa nani anafaa kwenda hospitali, or all those things, and that really happens, and sometimes it's good to help, but again, you have to be a little bit smart, because again, this is the only money that you have at that time, and it's released in lump sum, right? So it can be a little bit tricky to try and manage the same. And again, I don't know if this was covered during the survey as well, in terms of how many respondents had investments elsewhere, like other sources of income, versus just depending on the pension that they received, or what is the the situation. Very true, Winnie. And you see, we call it the payout phase now, when you've worked and now you want to retire. Then there are options that are available to you. And the number one option is that if you are in a pension scheme, because we have two different types of schemes, you can either be in a provident fund or a pension scheme. So when you're in a provident fund, then you are given your money at once in lump sum. So you are given all the money so that you can go and plan yourself. And during the survey, we also asked people, those who are in pension scheme and those who are in provident fund. And most of the people who got lump sum were actually regretting why they are saying if they are given another chance, then they will go for the option of the pension. Because in pension, what happens is that you are given only a third.
as lump sum.
All right.
Then the 2/3 is taken to what we call the annuity, which is an insurance product that guarantees you lifetime payments,
All right.
which we call the monthly pensions. Or you can take it to something we call the income drawdown. So the income drawdown is where now your 2/3 balance is taken to another fund where it is invested.
Okay.
The only risk is that you are exposed to the market risk.
Yeah.
But actually it is also a form of investment, because your money will be growing. But you know, with the annuity is that it is an insurance contract that you sign, and you say that this is the amount I want to receive every month.
Yeah.
Though there are so many issues that go into that, and that's why we always try to tell those who are retiring that you need to take time.
Yeah.
You have up to 1 year to decide which kind of products that you want.
Yeah.
So what usually happens is that when you are given this lump sum, and it is human nature, you go through what we call the temporary insanity, where now you have this money and you don't know what to do with it. You had not planned, and then you end up doing things that you didn't plan for, and that's how you say that now people in the village know that you have money.
Knows, yes.
All the problems that they are there, they will have to come to you.
Yes.
And that's when now even with all due respect, maybe the churches also want to involve you in activities, and also the community also want you to be involved. Yeah, so you're the chief guest in every harambe, and you know all this is targeting your money. But once that money is over, then you remain on your own, and now you have to look for how to survive. Yeah, so the survey also looked at all those aspects in terms of the economic well-being of the pensioners. And we asked them, what is, number one, we asked them, what is the most important source of income that you have? And your guess is as good as mine, that they said it is the pension income. That was the most important source of income. Even though some were doing other investments, and the top ranking investments was in agriculture and real estate, where you build some plots hoping to get rental income. But you are not guaranteed, because most of the buildings you'll find there are no tenants. So you will not be guaranteed that all round the clock in a year your houses will be having tenants. So that is not a guarantee. And that's why people are ranking the pension income, because that is guaranteed, that every month you will be going to the bank and you'll be getting something that can sustain you. Yeah, so that's the whole aspect about the well-being of retirees.
Of the pensioners.
Yeah, and those are realities that we have to deal with, and that's why we have programs that we implement as a Retirement Benefits Authority in terms of instilling financial literacy for those who are still working members. We call them the retirement planning seminars. And these seminars, we conduct them countrywide, and we have a calendar. If you go to our website, you will find them. So this is where now we take members through the phase of retirement. How are you supposed to plan? In terms of health, you need to acquire a medical cover. And we introduced a product out of even these surveys that we did earlier, because we found that when somebody is retired, the biggest component of expenditure is on medical,
health,
because of the lifestyle diseases that now comes in because of age. And out of that, we suggested a policy proposal where we said that we should introduce what we call the post-retirement medical fund. So the post-retirement medical fund allows you as a member, when you are still working, to start saving for your medical cover in retirement. Yeah, so the same way you are saving for now the cash flow in terms of the pension that you'll be getting, you also save for your medical cover. And this is a very good product that everyone should embrace, and we hope that every scheme will amend their trust deed and rules to allow their members now to start saving for their post-retirement medical.
Absolutely. And I think it's very important, really very important. Okay, so then now that we know the realities and we know how things are on ground, right? The biggest question is then, how soon should people start saving? And also bear in mind there's the gig culture here in the country, and also we have people who are self-employed, right? Who are then, you know, saying, so then where do we go, you know, in terms of making sure that we are registered with a certain scheme, make sure that we are preparing for retirement, because it can be very tricky for them, because you see money comes in almost every day, every week, or you know, maybe once in like 2 weeks. So like the cash flow is as frequent as compared to someone who's employed, who has to wait until the end of the month, where there's a bit of structure, you know, in terms of the deductions that are happening. So this other group. But first of all, how soon should people start saving?
As soon as you get your first income, you should start saving for your retirement.
Okay.
Yeah, so even if you're in the university, we have different schemes that cater for everyone and every segment. And you've asked a very important question, and I can summarize it in 2 ways.
Okay.
The greatest problem that now we are facing are twofold.
Okay.
Number one, we have the shift in terms of the labor market structure. And you saw in the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, they released some report on demographics and also employment. And what they were saying is that the informal sector is actually has overtaken or is growing faster than the formal sector.
That's true.
So you find that most of the employment happen in the informal sector.
Okay.
Yeah, so out of like the 19 million people who are employed, about 85% are in the informal sector. And this is a question that every policymaker is at pain to try to, how can we cover these people? Even in terms of taxation, how can we make sure that they pay their taxes?
Okay.
So the same question and the same problem we are grappling with in the retirement benefits sector. And that's why now our focus is actually shifting now from the formal, because the formal is covered to a great extent. But now the informal sector, the over 16 million who are not covered in any pension arrangement, what are we going to do to ensure that they don't retire into poverty?
Okay.
And also, because if we don't take care of them now, I tell you that in the next few years, then they will become a burden to the government.
That's true.
In terms of the exchequer provisioning and the fiscal provisioning, which is not sustainable. Because you remember that the cash transfer to the elderly will have to kick in at 65 or 70.
Yeah.
And we have a whole lot, like almost 85% of those who are elderly, over 60.
Yeah.
And the government cannot provision for everyone. So that's why there needs to be some policy shift. And that's why you even hear the president, every time he gets a platform, he talks about the need to start saving for retirement as early as possible.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is a running call that we as the authority, we are also concerned about. And that's why now even for the sector that we regulate, we encourage them to be innovative. So that they can come up with innovative products that are flexible enough to cater for the informal sector. You know, these are people who day to day they go to work, their income is not regular, they don't have a pay slip where now you can deduct and remit. So they cannot fit into the formal pension arrangement. So we have to create for them another set of products that they can fit. And that's why now we are encouraging the sector now to come up with innovative products that can take care of this, the informal sector. And we are happy that some of the schemes that we regulate have already started coming up with these products.
Okay.
We have around 5 of them currently in the market. There's some that we call the Mobikeza. We have even one we call Haba na Haba, NSSF. We also have Gifter Pension by Zamara, and so on and so forth. So these products allows you to save as little as 20 bob in a day.
Okay.
And this money, when it's compounded and you start early, it will be enough to take you through your retirement age phase. So that's why now we are encouraging the sector. And if you can remember, some times back, RBA was promoting a product we call the Mbao Pension Plan. And the Mbao Pension Plan was a savings plan sponsored by the Juakali industry, the Juakali Association. And what we were actually trying to do is that we allow those who are in the Juakali sector and those who are in the informal sector to save daily or as when they get their income. So it doesn't have a limit in terms of how much you can save, but you can save as little as 20 bob. Just imagine today, if you are saving, maybe let's take a hypothetical example of maybe a 20-year-old who has just maybe almost finishing the university, I mean, and maybe is up getting help or something. If he can save like 20, not even 20, let's say 50.
50 shillings.
50 shillings in a day.
Okay.
And this money is invested, so you earn an interest. So let's take an interest of maybe around 4%.
All right.
I'm trying to be a bit cautious and to be on the lower limit.
Yes.
You will find that in the next, because you are 20, you can still save up to 40 years. So you'll find that in the next 40 years, you'll be having a guaranteed income of around 11,000.
Okay.
And this money is enough to cater for your basic needs.
All right.
If you are living in the village or even in town.
Okay.
For the basic needs, it will be able to cater for. Rather than if you sit pretty and wait for your retirement,
Until you retire.
and then now you wait for the cash transfer from the government, which is barely 2,000. What can 2,000 do for you in terms of catering for your basic needs?
basics.
Yeah, so that's why it calls for a policy shift from now waiting for people to retire so that we can take care of them as a government, to encouraging them to start saving for their retirement as early.
Yeah.
Because even when they save for this retirement, this money will be invested within the economy. And this money we can use even to finance even the infrastructure projects and all other government projects. And then because now the government is like borrowing this money from the saving schemes. And then now this money will be earning interest every day because it is compounded. So you'll find that by the time you are retiring, you have some substantial amount that can take you through the retirement. The other problem that I wanted to mention, that is now the informal sector. The other problem that we are currently witnessing is the demographic shift. And what I mean here is that we are having the population of the elderly growing day by day. And when you look at the UN projections, they are saying that in 2050, we'll be having around 1.6 billion population of over 65. Okay. That is a whole, like the current population of Africa. That will be the elderly. So policymakers are now trying to ask, how are we going to take care of the elderly? Just like the youth question was a problem and is still a problem. Now the problem is also shifting now to the elderly. How are we going to take care of them? And you know, in Kenya, the constitution guarantees, I think under Article 57, that the senior citizens are supposed to be taken care of by the government. So the government also has to be concerned. And you see, there are some decisions that as an individual maybe you cannot make. So the government has to make that decision for you. Yes, so that's why we have to ensure that you start saving for your retirement. Yeah, so that when you get to that age, then now you are able to take care of yourself in terms of your retirement. And you see, it is not only a global problem. Even in Kenya, it is a problem. Because the projections are that in 2050, we'll be having around 10 million people who are over 60. Now, how are we going to take care of this population? That is the greatest question. And that's why now we have to shift the policy from now taking care of you at the old age phase to ensuring that you save so that you take care of yourself.
To take care of yourself then. I hear you. All right. But one of the things that also comes up majority of the times, you know, when it comes to, you know, the pension and all those things is how taxation works, right? So the whole question about taxation, you know, this is during either contribution, investment, or at the same time retirement. So then how do you as RBA, you know, make sure that your members are aware of, first of all, this information, you know, because again, information is power, right? So that we don't come and, you know, blame the government later on for taking a chunk of our money. So as RBA, I mentioned earlier that we have programs where we educate members, and it is the whole concept about retirement planning and even the management of the retirement funds. And when it comes to taxation, the taxation happens during the contribution phase and also during the payout phase.
But the tax system that is applicable in pension, in the retirement benefits sector, is what we call EET, which is exempt, and tax.
Okay.
So what happens is that when you are contributing, the government exempts you a tax of up to 20,000 shillings, or 240,000 per annum. So even if you are going to file your returns, and I know when you are filing your returns, there's a section where you are told to capture your pension contribution. So what happens is that if I'm earning a salary of 50,000, the way it works is that if you're contributing to a pension scheme, maybe 10,000, and the employer is also contributing 10,000, that comes to 20,000. What happens is that this money is first of all removed from your income.
Okay.
And then the balance of it is what is taxed.
It's being taxed.
So it is exempted up to 20,000.
All right.
Yeah, and then you will find that when you are saving in a retirement benefit scheme, you are actually saving because of the tax exemption issue. So if I'm earning 50,000 and I decide to take the whole amount, I will be paying more tax than somebody who is saving. So this was created as an incentive to make you to save for retirement. So that is what happens. And the only point when you are taxed during contribution is when you do what we call the early access, which is allowed in law. Maybe you've gotten greener pastures and you want to move to another employment, or a pandemic comes like COVID and you are retrenched or relieved of your duties. The law allows you to access up to 50% of your entire contributions or savings. That includes your contributions, your investment income, all that put together, you get 50% of it. Though we don't discourage this, we don't encourage this, because it leads to leakage, and also the whole question of adequacy that comes
when
in.
it comes to retirement.
Yeah, so we always encourage people that if you're moving to another employment, which is a greener pasture, you just leave your benefits there, or you can transfer them to the new scheme where you are going to. Yeah, so at that phase, then you will be taxed, and the tax bands there are a bit wider, so you will be taxed more. Then the only other phase where you are again taxed. So you are exempted during contribution. You are again exempted when this money earns investment income. That income is not taxed. It is reinvested. And then now at the payout phase, now when you want to access this money in retirement, that's when now you are taxed. And again here, there's also an incentive that if you've worked for 10 years or more, the government gives you a tax exemption of up to 600,000, which is 60,000 for 10 years maximum. So 600,000 is tax exempt. And then now the balance of it is what is now subjected to tax. And the taxation, the bands are a bit wider, because it's like from from 600 to the next 400,000 is maybe tax 5%, the next 400,000 another 15%, then the next 400,000 25%. Yeah, so the tax band is a bit wider, so that this is an incentive from the government. And then what happens again is that when you retire at 65, if you delay your retirement or access to your benefits, not retirement, maybe you retire at 60, then you decide maybe because you have some other sources of income, you access your retirement benefits after 65. Then you will access these benefits tax free. The law was repealed at some point, but it again came back through a court order that reinstated this. Yeah, so these are the benefits that you get when you are saving in a retirement benefit scheme in terms of taxation. So the tax regime that is applicable for pension is that you exempt during contribution, you exempt during the income investment, and then now you tax at the end of it, but also with that incentive of up to 600,000.
A bit of exemption here and there. All right, unfortunately our time is up, and I know there's so much to cover really as far as saving for retirement and preparing for the same is concerned. But even as we encourage people to continue to save, or if they've not started saving saving or not joined, any, pension scheme, please do that, so that again you sort of have like, some bit of income, and this is after retirement.
Yes.
But at the same time, and I'll take this as your parting shot in literally maybe like a minute,
Okay.
in terms of then making sure that, how does RBA then make sure that this money that we're contributing is well managed, right? How does RBA come in? And I'll take that as your parting shot.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think RBA, as I mentioned, is the regulator, and we work in the background to make sure that when you retire, then you get your benefits. So there are 3 areas that we focus on, so that to make sure that your funds are well managed, and also you are guaranteed of getting your benefits. Number 1 is that we ensure that there is enforcement of governance issues. Yeah, so in this, we ensure that the scheme has trustees, the scheme has service providers, and also these trustees are trained through what we call the Trustee Development Program.
All right.
Yeah, so that they are given the basic knowledge on how to manage these funds. The other issue that we focus on is on the market conduct issues. And market conduct issues is where now we ensure that there's consumer education in terms of letting you know your rights and obligations within the scheme, and also resolving the complaints that arises when you are a member of a retirement benefit scheme.
Okay.
And then also the third issue is about the prudential issues, and this is about the investment. So we ensure that if you are in a defined benefit scheme, then the funding level is up to 100%. And also in terms of investment, we have guidelines that schemes have to follow.
All right.
So we have like 15 asset classes in which you are supposed to invest in, and there are threshold under each, so that we don't have a scheme that is investing entirely in property, and then now when members retire, there's no liquidity to pay for their benefits.
I see.
Yeah, so those are the 3 key areas that we focus on.
Yeah. All right, I see that. But of course, would love to continue with the conversation, but time is not on our side. But of course, the conversation continues online. I can see a number of questions, on our Twitter handle, but I know RBA can also have access to them, so that he can answer, all those questions. But we can also have another session where we address all your questions as far as preparing and saving for retirement. But for now, we have to say thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Leonard Audi, who's the senior economist with the Retirement Benefits Authority, for coming by today. And I know most of your questions have been answered, but if not, again, just send them on our socials. That is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on Twitter. And of course, we'll try as much as possible and get you answers. But for now, have yourselves a lovely day ahead. I'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place, right here on your world. But until then, stay safe, God bless, and please start preparing for retirement. Goodbye for now.